I stood on my own porch at 7:14 a.m. on Christmas morning, snow falling like slow ash, holding a mug of coffee that was still too hot to drink, and I realized I had finally done something unforgivable in my family's eyes. I had kept something for myself. Something they couldn't borrow, use up, or rename. And when they came for it anyway, with a locksmith, fresh tire tracks, and my mother's handwriting on a folded note that said, "We just popped by," I understood, finally, that the only thing more dangerous than being invisible is deciding you're allowed to be seen. My name is Elias. 31. Freelance investigative reporter. The brother who remembers birthdays 2 weeks early, who keeps a spare tire in the trunk even though nobody's asked for one in 8 years, who answers "how's work" with 3 sentences and then asks about everyone else's week. My younger sister Mara is the gravity in every room. People lean toward her the way plants turn toward windows. She cries at commercials and strangers forgive her parking tickets. I once watched a barista comp her entire order because she looked like she needed kindness today. I paid for my black coffee and left a tip big enough to cover both of us. That's always been the math. I live in a 1-bedroom that smells faintly of cedar from the cheap shelf I assembled myself. My fridge light flickers when the compressor kicks on. I like it. The stutter reminds me the place is alive and mine. 2 weeks before last Christmas the family chat lit up like a slot machine. Photos of fairy lights already strung in Mara's new townhouse. Magical weekend ahead. 27 heart eyes emojis. A blurry selfie of Dad trying to figure out how to send a GIF. I waited. Scroll. Waited longer. Then I typed the safest question in the world: should I plan to arrive Christmas Eve or morning? 7 minutes of typing bubbles that vanished like smoke. Mom finally, "Oh sweetheart, we thought you'd be buried in deadlines. Mara's place is cozy but small. We'll do a quiet dinner with you after the holidays. Promise. It's just easier this way." Easier. The word landed like a wet towel across the face. That same night Mara sent me a private text. "Hey big brother, no hard feelings. My kitchen's the size of a closet, lol. We'll do drinks in January. My treat XX." I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Then I opened a tab I'd kept minimized for months. A grainy listing photo, small cedar cabin, steep metal roof, east-facing porch drowning in white pine. Elevation 4,200 feet. No HOA. No neighbors who borrow tools and never return them. I didn't tell anyone I was looking. Not because it was a secret. Because I didn't want to hear the reasons I shouldn't. 3 days later I drove 6 hours up winding county roads salted gray. The realtor met me wearing a Carhartt coat 2 sizes too big. He talked about septic challenges and snow load. I barely heard him. I was listening to the silence between his sentences, a silence that belonged to me if I claimed it. I made the offer that afternoon. Cash from 8 years of side gigs, skipped vacations, ramen dinners. No contingencies. No family co-signers. Just my name on paper that didn't have anyone else's fingerprints on it. I closed alone in a title office that smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. The escrow officer asked if I wanted anyone listed on the deed. I said, "Just me." She smiled the smallest, saddest smile I've ever seen. "Congratulations, Elias. It's all yours." But that wasn't the worst of it. Christmas morning I woke to snow falling straight down like someone had torn open a giant pillow above the ridge. I made coffee on a stove that coughed black smoke the first 3 times I lit it. I opened my laptop and started a piece I'd been avoiding for months. For once the words came easy. The family chat exploded with photos at 9:12. Mara in flannel pajamas holding a golden retriever puppy she'd surprise adopted 3 days earlier. Dad's thumb photobombed every frame. Mom captioned, "Family always." I sent one photo back. My blue mug on the windowsill. Snow piled on the porch rail like fresh frosting. Firelight flickering behind the glass. Caption, "Merry Christmas from the mountains. Finally bought my own place." The replies came fast and sharp. "Mom, you bought a house." "Dad, that must have been expensive." Mara, "Wait, that's adorable. OMG, we need a getaway so bad. When can we come up?" I typed, deleted, typed again. It's not a rental. I live here now. Mara, LOL. Okay, but like, we're family though. I didn't answer. 2 weeks later I came back from the general store with milk and bread. Fresh tire tracks scarred the driveway. Boot prints marched straight to my porch. On the welcome mat, Mom's handwriting on a cream note card. We popped by to see the place. Mara and Theo fell in love. They really need a reset after this year. Brought a locksmith since we couldn't find your spare key. We didn't go inside, call us so we can coordinate, smiley face. Love you, Mom. I checked the cameras. 11:47 a.m. Mom in her cream puffer coat gesturing at the windows like a real estate agent. Dad trying the knob. Mara filming vertical video like she was touring an Airbnb. Theo holding a red toolbox. Behind them, a man in a black hoodie kneeling at my front door with a tension wrench in his hand. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat on the floor with my back against the couch, phone in both hands, watching the clip loop. Every time the locksmith's shoulders moved I felt something in my chest make a small, final snap. Not anger. Not anymore. Just the clean sound of a rope finally parting after years of strain. I called the deputy first. Then the lawyer. Then I watched the rest of the footage. At 11:51 a.m. Mara had stepped back, looked straight into the camera above the door, smiled her sweetest public smile, and whispered, clear enough for the microphone to catch. He's never even here anyway. It's just sitting. Empty. He won't mind. That sentence. That one sentence rewrote every year I thought I was being generous. Because the truth, the real, bone-deep truth, was never that I was too busy, or too reliable, or too steady. The truth was they had already decided, long before the cabin, long before the locksmith, that anything I owned was only on temporary loan until someone else needed it more. I still live here. The stove still coughs in the mornings. The porch light still flicks on when a deer walks past at 2 a.m. I write better here than I ever did in the city. I sleep deeper. I keep the cameras rolling, not because I'm afraid, but because memory is slippery and evidence is not. They haven't come back. Not physically. The letters still arrive though, birthday cards with lilies on the front and carefully worded guilt stitched inside. I read them once. Then I file them in a drawer labeled documentation. I don't hate them. I don't even miss them the way I used to. I just finally understand that love isn't measured by how much you give away until there's nothing left for yourself. Sometimes love is the courage to say, this door stays locked. This life is mine. If someone tried to take your one safe place, the one thing you built when everyone else was busy taking, would you open the door anyway? Or would you finally turn the key and keep it? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe for more stories.